What up, what up, what up, what up? Back again. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. But first, a word from our music. Alright, let's go ahead and start from the top, y'all. As always, top down, we are going to go ahead and look at the weekly. And we're going to go ahead and put our zones. Higher time frame analysis while we have this large move up, right? Break. And still looks, honestly, it looks like we're just going to continue bullish if I'm betting on anything here. Wick down, open, maybe something like this. Right, wick down, continue up. Move sideways, slightly break down. You could actually argue you have a particular zone right here. You feel me? Or maybe you don't. Oh yeah, something like that, right? I'm doing the stripe pajamas because I'm looking at all the unmitigated areas on the weekly time frame. So now that we have that transposed, let's go ahead and look at what we got on the daily. Right, again, nice little break here, right here as well. Looks like it nicely comes back into here after it broke above that. Have this zone as well. Have this zone as well. Right, and we just keep going, right? We just keep looking. Areas, nice areas, right? Break above, break above. We have some slight intermediate there. Got some intermediate here as well. Right? Little intermediate zones. Of course, we have some intermediate zones here. And of course, you see here. And then we started to break down here. But then, we had this breakdown where they come from up here. We had something slightly intermediate. And I'm pretty bullish on the NASDAQ if I'm looking at it longer term. So that was on the daily. So we're here now. It looks like we just recently broke above here. So this seems like that would be a logical way. And at this point, you'd want to say, okay, well, this might be a good area to trade off of, potentially. Although it opened up and it mitigated. It did come up, but it did mitigate just ever so slightly, so may not be the best area to actually look for a particular buy off of. And there may not actually even be anything there. We just keep going down 30 minutes. Right? Like if you look here on the 30, and you go down to the 15. If it retraced all the way down here today, that would be pretty surprising. I don't know if that would actually be realistic for this particular situation here. And you can see it's just nothing. You could maybe argue something in here because it just looks very, very bullish. I think we got non-farm payroll this week, right? First Thursday. Let's see here. We can handle with care, more news. Well, anyways, we're down here on the 15. We'll potentially look to see what happens here. Call it what it is. Look on the 5 minute. This is lower time frame. I don't know, price just looks very efficient. We're just gonna let it do what it does. Go to the euro. I still like this area here, for sure, you know. Price seems pretty efficient, although in this area here, quite a good amount of imbalance to come back down into. Very strong push, but again, you see some nice imbalance here. So we're still just waiting for it to come up into here. If it comes up into here, I mean, I think I'd be more than happy to look for a particular trade. Let's go ahead and move this up just ever so slightly, refine it to an hour level. This hour level looks pretty juicy there. Right? We could intermediate trade. Probably will come down ever so slightly, fill in this small gap. Right? Lower time frame here. We go down to the 15. Probably looking for slight refinement here. Very wicky. But there's a lot of imbalance here. Let's go ahead and put that there. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just wait. And let the euro do what it does. So we got gold. What do you got going on here on gold? Gold looks like it's starting to move up just a tad bit. So the idea, if you remember, if you don't, then basically the idea was, okay, well, it was going to go ahead and tap into here, but we should probably look for it to continue down. Although we were bullish on this, so we were willing to say this was the zone that it was going to come into to continue up, which it seems like it's doing that right now. Yeah, we could be potentially, so this is what I'm looking at over here. Alright, if you look, alright, so the only thing is this wick. Very wicky here. So it opens up, right, and it continues down. It opens up and then it wicks, so that could be considered a slight bit of mitigation there. Break, alright, break. So we could say potentially, right, this opens up and it just falls off, so we could say that this is still a very valid zone here. We could be looking, because right here we have a whole lot of imbalance. So like that, right? We want to see it go ahead and push one more large time up into this area and then continue down. Because I still do want to see it mitigate that lower area. So we're going to go ahead and say supply. We'll actually look for a trade off of that particular area. Let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin. If you call Bitcoin, we're waiting for it to go ahead and break below, but it looks like it's moved quite quickly. I don't really see any zones that really make sense. Breakdown, you could actually say this probably makes the most sense here. Right, structure. 2 hours here. Let's go ahead and go up to the 4 hour. Let's go to the daily actually. See what it looks like. Yes, slightly meandering down, just slowly but surely coming down there. you might want to argue something like that. You see it opens up here. Opens up, comes up ever so slightly but falls off. Although there's just a ton of imbalance here, which you see just large move up. We might see a move down, although you see here this wick, so it's pretty efficient price action. We go down to the 4-hour time frame. We can go ahead and see that price came down here, so we could start to look for some refinements here. But you see we had a mitigation in there. We could probably take the 50% of this. Let's see what we have left here. Yeah, you have, if we were to take 50% of that, right, you have a slight open mitigation there, but then you have it kind of drop off. Kind of. I say kind of because it doesn't look like the best price action that we could ultimately get. But it is a reason to continue up. Now, this really doesn't look like, I mean, if it comes down and fills this, that would be a miracle. Although, you see, it moved sideways for quite some time and then made a large move up out of nowhere. So it could very well make a large move back down. I don't see anything that would be stopping it. So, we saw that. Short-term bullish because this just came up way too fast. This isn't really going anywhere, but if we're looking go, so theoretically this could have been a trade, like something like that, right? If we were looking at a particular zone in here, which there really aren't any. Go to the 15-minute. Only highlight that because it does look like a particular setup, but it's not in a zone that we want to see. So we could be seeing a reaccumulation here. Yeah. Lows. We don't have really a sign of strength coming up just yet. And it's really, you see this area here? This is what I'm kind of looking at. Right, so I'm looking at something like that. So that's why I'm saying, okay, well, maybe a reaccumulation at this particular point. Maybe a slight drop off in here. Sign of strength. Spring up, something like that maybe. But we'll just have to wait and see. So what I'm actually curious about is I want to see this all liquidated. So let's say potential spring in recume. We'll go ahead and put that alert there and wait it out. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the EURUSD. We still want to see it come down here. Although, again, you probably could say this might be a good zone as well. Right, so, and this is very well daily zone. You probably want to take this down to 50%. We have this open, mitigate, continue up. So you could say, okay, well, let's go ahead and taper this down a tad bit, you know. So we do something like that. And it gets just the bottom of this wick here, which makes a whole lot of sense. When we looked at the daily, you could, I don't see any zones in here, right? You could say breakdown, right? So you could maybe make an argument for something in here, but I don't really like that on the daily. Then you look at intermediate on the 4-hour price. So let's go ahead and do something like this, right? Price comes up, falls down, and it just moves sideways here, and finally falls down. So you could say something like this, right? Falls down, then you have something like this. Falls down, then you have something like this. Then it breaks up, then of course you have one MB to the top side now. And this is how I got to this particular area here. So if we were looking to go ahead and do something, it just looks like a pretty odd range. We go down to the hourly, right? We can go ahead and draw in this intermediate MB. And we're in that right now. We're just slightly breaking above it. You could make an argument if you want to strike pajamas here, right? Maybe you have that open. It looks like it mitigated that, so actually I wouldn't use that. Yeah. Break. Yeah, break up. Where'd it come from there? So you could still have this area here. And you could have this area here as well. Which means that there is a reason to come to the high of this particular range. If there's anything that looks good to trade, that's a whole nother story. But it could very well be something that we're looking for, right? If we're starting to go kind of bullish here, we actually, I'll just find it down to somewhere into here and then go down with 15 and see what we got going on here. Let's see. Remember, we could for sure leave that there and then refine it in a way if there are any refinements. So the only refinement that I see that could potentially hit is this right here. Oops. It looks like up, starting to break down here. Now, we could say on the 15-minute, right, we had this break up, and then now we had to break down. Break, and we're looking for a second break here. I don't know, I don't really see anything nice and neat here. Break. This could be something very low time frame right there, right? Let's do 15-minute or 5-minute. It's 15-minute S&D right there, so 5-minute S&D. We'll see what happens if it gets in there. We want to see a strong push up into this, so we have imbalance to fill to go back down. All right. That is going to end the trade ideas for 8/30/23. Hopefully your month of August was fantastic. It was amazing, and you actually got a whole lot done, learned a whole lot of stuff. And I want to wish you a great September coming up here. So hit that like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And as always, have a wonderful day. I'm just going to go ahead and finish putting this. Boom. Peace.